Good evening. We'll call the April committee meetings to order. And before we get started with committee meetings, I want to recognize one of our council members that has served 15 years on the council, Frank Baptist. So if y'all help me recognize him, please. Brown.
Yeah, right. All right. Welcome everyone to the April 14th Finance Committee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and establish a quorum. Starting with my far left with Alderman Ham.
Jeff Ham.
Mandy Spicer.
Tom Farmer. Miss Reed lost her voice.
Steve
so-
Brown. All right, thank you all. Ms. Spicer, would you mind reading the statement of FOI compliance and then calling roll?
Yes, sir. I affirm that I have not engaged in any prohibited discussion, deliberation, or polling regarding any item on this meeting's agenda outside of a properly noticed and open meeting, in compliance with the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act as amended by Act 505 of 2025. And I'll start over on my left. Alderman Baptist.
Yes.
Alderman Brown.
Yes.
Alderwoman Spencer Cole. Yes. Alderwoman Reed.
She said yes.
Alderman Morrow. Yes. Alderman Park. Yes. Alderman Blind. Yes. Alderman Lee. Alderman Ham. Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, I was doing it from their side, but I was doing it from their side.
Their left, our right.
Yeah.
At this point, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the March 9th meeting. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is our friends from Benton Utilities.
I have trouble with it too. Thank you. You have the financial statements with the highlight sheet, so I'll just touch on a few highlights. Please stop me if you have any questions. For February, had revenues over expenses, $288,000. Capital expenses of $1.2 million. We did have a power cost adjustment of 2 cents that we passed along to the customers due to Winter Storm Fern. Now, inversely, in March, we gave back 1 cent power cost adjustment to the customers. Didn't quite cover that month, but it was some more back. Electric revenues over expenses of $394,000. Water revenues over expenses of $341,000. And wastewater expenses over revenues of $446,000.
Any questions on the financials? No questions? Any other items you guys want to share this evening?
I think we're next on the,
Are you next on the agenda?
I think so.
You can tell how prepared I am. Excuse me, would you like to speak about the bond refunding?
just in case I can't answer the question, I have Mr. Michael McBride here from Stevens, who we are utilizing for this refunding. I did prepare a handout from the information that he was given to us, and you'll see on there the first, if I can see it, excuse me, that first page there just kind of shows a recap of our current bonds. You can see there's 3.
Hey, if you don't mind, let me set the stage for everyone, just make sure we're all on the same page. What Benton Utilities is requesting is to refund the Series 2026 Public Utility Revenue Bonds. These are bonds that are being issued to refund a portion of the city's outstanding public utility refunding revenue bonds, Series 2015. And so now, if you don't mind, I just want to set the stage for everyone.
Sure. Thank you. I should have done that.
No, it's okay, my fault.
So yeah, that first page is kind of a recap of our current bonds. And then the 3 pages after that show 3 different options for savings. There's a level savings option, accelerated savings, and hybrid savings. So I think our plan there is to have those April 27th issued, or have that brought before the council to authorize that sale.
Yes, sir.
So, just, talking about savings of 1.5 to 1.7 million dollars over the life of the bond, is that correct?
That's correct.
So those are the assumptions we've made from the prior market. There's a lot of volatility currently in the interest rate market, with the conflict going on in Iran. We won't know for sure what the final savings number will be until we sell bonds the morning of the 27th. So the point of this meeting is to sort of get you familiarized with the ordinance that would be adopted the evening of the 27th. As you could imagine, bondholders are putting their funds up for the purchase of these bonds, and they're wanting the governing body as quickly as possible to ratify so that they can move forward and know that those bonds will be theirs. We won't close the transaction until early June, but we need that first step. So what will actually happen on the day of the 27th is we will sell the bonds and hold until the ordinance is passed that evening.
Do we know which savings option we're looking at? I know there's 3 different ones, but do y'all have,
We are not going to go we do not need the cash up front for any services, so whatever gives us the greatest amount of savings, we're going to go that route.
Right.
Which would be a level savings over. I mean, if you look at it, you can get some of your cash up front quicker. If you need the cash, we're okay with our cash flow currently, so we're going to go for the biggest savings across the whole issuance of the bond.
one more question?
No, I bet you have more than one. Go ahead.
No, I don't know. You're used to it, though. So this savings, again, will be, the savings that we have, that will be used for future projects, or is there anything specific that you kind of have in mind that?
Again, the savings are not designated for anything specifically, but again, capital projects going forward, these bonds were specifically for water and wastewater departments. So it's going to help on the cash flow of the water and wastewater department. So we'll be able to then do some capital projects where we'll save some money, and then do some projects ahead of time. Do more maintenance on our infrastructure that we have that is outdated and needs to be more done too.
Any other questions? So tonight we'll need to, an ordinance to, or a motion to, move an ordinance forward, to council. If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is, the police surplus. From time to time, the police department has several surplus items that we need to look to liquidate, so to speak. At this point, they have several items that have been in storage and are no longer needed. Some of these items include rifle racks, munition boxes, printers, cameras, etc. Chief, is there anything you want to add to that?
Not unless you have any questions for me. It's just excess items we no longer use. Some of it may have to be destroyed if we can't auction it off, and some might be taken off to metal and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Any questions? Not, I'll entertain a motion. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you all.
Next item on the agenda is document retention policy. Ms. Streisner, there she is, has worked on updating our document retention ordinance, and I'm going to let her speak to that. Okay, any questions? Yeah, any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to, move the ordinance forward. So moved. Motion, is there a second? Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next thing on our agenda is, if you guys will recall, each year, if the city receives more than $750,000 of grant funds, we're required to obtain a single audit, which is in addition to the legislative audit that we receive each year. Ellison Moore is the audit firm that we use mainly because they specialize in ARPA funds. In your packet is the audit report from 2025 that was conducted last year for your review. And if you'll see on the bottom paragraph of the first page, in the opinion of the auditors, the city complied in all material respects with the specified requirements referenced above during the year ended December 31st, 2025. So that's exactly what we would have hoped to see. That's just for informational purposes. If anyone has any questions, Ms. Spicer can answer them, as I just read my script, so. If no questions, we'll move forward, and the last thing on our agenda tonight is the March 2026 financials.
Mr. Brown, before we move on to that, I'd like to just let the committee know that some time ago we approved to get an actuary for the fire pension plan. We thought it was $1,500, and what we found out is $2,500. The check, because the council voted to do that, has been sent to them. So now it's a 4 to 6 week process before we get an answer. So I just wanted y'all to be aware it went up $1,000.
Do we need to do anything from, okay, since the price change? Okay, all right, good deal.
No, when I talk to them, the next piece of legislation will be after you guys review the true actuarial study and then your determination on that point, and we'll make sure that we put in there, all the relevant data.
Sounds good. You'll update us with March financials? That would be
Yes,
fantastic.
if you will open up your book, you'll see that the sales tax for March, 2026 is in there. March was a strong month. Monthly, sales tax was 4.05% increase over March of 25. Year to date, that puts us at 4.28% increase. I will make it brief on the rest of the financials and just let you guys review that as we are. We do have a really strong cash position. If you'll notice, that bottom number of available unrestricted cash is $3,666,000. In the financial stability balance, in addition to that, is $2,276,000, and that's not just in general fund. There's still a very healthy balance in public safety because we're still sitting on $2.4 million that's going to be paid out for a fire truck, a ladder truck. Early summer of this year is when we're expecting for that, and then in streets department and
Any questions from anyone tonight related to financials? Is there anything else to be brought before this committee? I will call it adjourned.
All right. right, Mr. Ham, whenever you're ready. Streets is next. No, no, sir, we've already done it for the ninth, so we don't have to move on with that.
At this time, I would like to call the Streets and Drainage Committee meeting for April 14th, 2026 to order. And beginning on my right, I will take a roll call with Mr. Baptist, starting.
Miss Evelyn Reed's here. Tom Farmer.
Judd Hart. And I'm Jeff Am. Once again. Moving on to item number 4, we'll have approval of minutes. Everybody should have received a copy. Any questions or deletions?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is the North Shore Road annexation. And probably some of you don't know what this is all about. North Shore, from the new subdivision, I believe is the line, is from there to Alcoa is half county and half city. So the mayor and the county judge have worked together to agree to bring that into the city. And so therefore, it will require an ordinance at the next meeting. And it's an ordinance for the road only for the city takeover maintenance. Any questions on that? Or is it clear?
Mr. Ham, I'd like to say this helps us because in the near future, we plan on widening North Shore. And so for us to widen it, we need to basically have all of it. This will allow us, when we go out for a grant, it'll help us get a grant when we get ready for that process. So that's the whole reason.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions or concerns?
Just curious, Mr. Ham, and Mr. Mayor, you may be able to point to it a little more easily than on the map. What portion of it are we talking, or John, rather, I'm sorry, that we're talking? I mean, I know it's a short, but I'm just curious on the map. Oh, well, that's that far. Okay, I didn't realize it was that much. Okay, okay. Yeah. Just connecting the dots, yeah. For our project. Gotcha. Kind of like our school district maps.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? That doesn't require a vote, does it? It does? All in favor of the North Shore annexation? Well, Sorry. Now, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Do we have a second? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry for that hiccup. The resolution for RDOT mowing contract, I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Ritchie to explain that additional information.
Resolution we'll do is, will, allow us to mow certain spots along the interstate, mainly at the overpasses. And we need an agreement, a resolution done to fulfill this agreement. And they will actually pay us to do the mowing. So it's part of the agreement.
Thing, and so RDOT has agreed to pay us those 3 times. They were paying someone else to do it, and we'll mow it every time it needs it this way.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion on the table to approve. Any further discussion? And a second. Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, and I'll let Mr. Ritchie explain this. It's a resolution for acceptance of low bid for the street department shed that was taken down by the snow to be replaced. And we had 2 bids. They were very far apart, but I'll turn it over to Mr. Ritchie to explain that.
This resolution is basically to accept the low bid for the building to replace the one that fell back during the ice storm, which was basically almost paid for by insurance. So I just wanted to make that clear.
What were the amounts? You know?
The low bid was $109,451, you know.
And the high bid?
J-Con got the low bid.
Mr. Ritchie, this includes we're talking about, just the roofing part of it or the entire structure?
The entire structure.
The entire structure, okay. Thank you.
In a new location. Not far, but in a new location.
It is, but right. Sure, it was specified for the snow load.
Any more questions?
Low bid for the street department shed.
We have a motion and a second to accept the low bid from J-Con for the street department building. And I'll entertain a vote at this time. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8 on the agenda is the cities have requested to discuss the Cottage Walk development. And I will let Mr. Ritchie handle that. Anyone comes to the microphone, you have 3 minutes. Mr. Valiance will be keeping track of time, and he's pretty tough. So I'll open the floor at this time for any questions and discussion on this Cottage Walk development. Any questions from the floor?
Agree on what this is all about. Cottage Walk subdivision has, under development, has caused some drainage issues with the subdivision below it. It is actually below it, so, folks that live in that subdivision, St. Andrews Woods, there's some folks here that want to speak on what they've experienced and their feelings about the situation. So, if you want to step up and, yeah.
Okay. My name is Karen Masters Hayes. I've spoken with Mr. Ritchie and I believe Mr. Baptist as well. My husband, John, and I moved here to the St. Andrews Woods about 2 years ago. It was about February 24 is when we bought our home. We actually moved in toward the end of February, and that time I think Cottage Walk had started taking the trees out for phase 1. And we have had a lot of flooding in our backyard to the point that we've had to put in French drains that helped it for a while, and then they started phase 2 and took out more trees. And it's very deceptive once you get over there to see the hill and how much water comes off that hill. And I know that through I guess Lenars who's making it, and then the engineer, and then the excavator, they've tried to make it where that particular neighborhood is not flooding. The problem is all this extra water is coming to us. They've since created 2 detention ponds that's supposedly holding the water. One of those failed about a month ago, I think, and many of the homes flooded. The water came up, even with our French drain and with an add-on pipe too, and a sump pump, came up very close to our home. We've had others that have had much more damage that are going to talk about it tonight. But this is a real issue for us, and I'm not going to take a lot of time with our damage just because we've had less. Okay, it will be. It's designed to go directly into our back fences. Since then, Roger Barker from Barker Excavation has put in a little bit of a drainage ditch, but we're scared. I'm honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're scared. A lot of people have purchased flood insurance at a high cost because we don't want our homes to be flooded like some other ones have. And we don't think that right now that ditch they built is full of silt that's come off that hill, and it's filling up already. We don't know what the solution is, whether it's to build something more permanent, like a concrete one, build a retaining wall, something, but something has to be done. And we're asking that you guys somehow get something out there, that a stormwater engineer or something that can review this from a different perspective and keep us safe. We've purchased homes here, and we want to know our homes are safe. And that's all we're really asking. Well, I'm just going to turn it over to some of these others, because like I said, they've had more damage than we have. So I just want to let you guys know that there's more to it than just people that are frustrated because these beautiful woods behind us have disappeared. Okay, we're actually asking for your help. You want to go?
Hello, my name is Sandy Nelson, and I have Phoenix Nelson. Rentals, and I have 5 properties. Sandy Nelson. We have 5 properties in St. Andrews Woods, and I started buying them in 2014, and I'm up to 2018. And back in 2014, we had the flood. We had two properties that were flooded. And they had never had flooded before, had them several years, and never had this problem until they started coming in and clear cutting it for the subdivision to go in. And we had to spend close to $50,000 to repair 2 homes that were flooded and 2 other homes. Water got into one home got into and one of my tenants is here now, that got into his kitchen. It didn't do any other damage, but the backyard was flooded. And another house that was there was flooded as well in the backyard. And I'm like Karen, I just want, see what can be done, because just recently we had problems again with the flooding in the backyard. Fortunately, it didn't get into the house this time, but it is a stressful worry every time it comes a downpour and it lasts 2 or 3 days. You don't know if it's going to be flooded or not, and just want to see what we can do about it, because apparently it hadn't stopped yet. And so that's all.
Hey, my name is Joe Rogers. Me and my family, we purchased a home at 1852 Abbey Lane around December of 2021. We've been there for a couple years. In 2022, I saw a sign saying development was going to happen, so I called the number and said, "What's up?" The fellow I talked to then told me there were going to be homes about 1,800 square feet. Cool, that matches about our neighborhood. No big deal. Flash forward to, I guess, about September, October of 2025. Come home one day, and the forest I had behind my property is now about maybe 10 foot deep. It's all been clear cut behind. Come home the next day, it's now within a foot of my back fence. I jumped over the little short fence I have, kind of see what was going on. Noticed a surveyor stake about roughly 18 inches from my back fence that had been there from years and years ago. A tree had actually grown around it. It's been there for a minute. Throughout the process that my neighbors have talked about, we've had surveyors come out and notice they just put random strips of surveyor tape on fence posts. I don't know how all that works because I'm no surveyor, but I feel like that old stake should have meant something. In October, about 14th, I talked to a dozer operator that was bringing in tons and tons of dirt. I asked them what was going on, explained our concerns, being that phase 1 had flooded some of our neighbors' homes. He promised me we're doing everything we can. We know what we're doing. We're going to make sure this water goes everywhere else. Flash forward to within the next couple of weeks when we had a good first rain. My backyard got flooded. My French drain was flooded and full of mud that had run off from the property behind us because their drainage system failed. The ditch was roughly 6, maybe a foot deep, 6 inches to a foot deep, had failed and came in my fence. Luckily, I had my fence a bit damaged from other projects that they have been done or had been doing when they damaged trees and things that were behind my home. The water then escaped into the road in front of our house. Street was covered in that nice orange clay we have right here. Talking to Mr. Roger about it, he promised he was going to get the drain cleaned out. He promised he was going to give me sod because I built a nice retaining wall the previous year. Now I've started to see damage to my retaining wall. My drain line is still flooded, full of mud. Every time we get a little bit of rain, I've got to get in there with whatever I can reach and get that mud out. I still have more mud because my grass all got washed away. Again, we're just asking y'all to, what can we do? We need to find a resolution here, because this is not what I bought. I didn't purchase a home that was in a floodplain. I shouldn't have to buy flood insurance. Our hill went from a gradual increase to who knows where to being roughly 30 foot above my house within maybe a 50-foot span. I'm guessing that was the timer. Sorry, I thought I heard it go off. But yeah, I'm sorry. Thank y'all.
Richie, or is it need to do that after we hear from? Okay.
This is on. I guess it is. Okay, my name is Tom Kordsmeyer. I live at 1864 Abbey Lane. I live right behind the first retaining pond that was built. And shortly after it was built, we had an extremely heavy rain, and that's when the first flood happened that Ms. Nelson referred to earlier. Since that's been put in, we have a new contractor, I understand, that's taken over the construction of this subdivision. And the recent heavy rain we have, which I think has brought a lot of us here to discuss this, where I live in the house next to me has took the brunt of the water from the flow from the entire subdivision, it appeared to me. After it happened, we saw a lot of people. I'm sure some of the members of this committee were probably there to kind of assess and get their own eyes to look at the situation. The current contractor has worked on it to, build it up some, but the silt continues to fill this thing up. They dredged out a lot of it here recently. I live right behind it, so I can, kind of give a bird's eye of what I have witnessed and seen them doing. Our concerns are, number one, is this going to fix the problem? Are we going to have to continue to look at Band-Aids being put on this situation? Another situation, which some of these other neighbors have brought up, is the high berms. Who's going to maintain all that? Is the new homeowner responsible for that? Is there going to be a POA that's going to come up to the fence, or our fence is going to be just grown up with trees and all kinds of debris? Who's going to maintain that? This most recent rain, a lot of water went across my yard. It almost got into the house. I'm saying, like an inch from getting into the house. And it washed up a lot of red clay, covered the back porch, the yard. There's a French drain that I'm sure has been choked up because of all this silt that's been, come across the yard. So I think I can speak for all of us that we're just concerned about the future. What's being done, what's the city doing to help kind of safeguard all this water from coming on us after the subdivision goes in and the houses go in place. Thank you, appreciate it.
Anyone?
From a city perspective, again, just hearing from their one side, it does sound like there are some severe issues with maybe the contractor that's doing that, but how can we hold them accountable to fix this so that we don't have long-term problems with this, especially before we even take it over?
We intervene and get the the developer and the engineer involved at that point of whatever's going on flood-wise or whatever the concerns are, and get them to follow up with a remedy for this. If it's temporary, something they gotta do now until they get to the end of the project, get back to where they need to be, that's what we asked them to do. I did reach out to Jonathan because I felt like there would be questions that would need to be answered, because this is a private development being done. It's not the city doing this development, it is a private. So if Jonathan would answer the questions that the gentleman had about the,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm Jonathan Hope with Hope Consulting. I'm very aware, Lennar is very aware of the owners, the contractors, of the concerns that they have, valid concerns. I understand the fear, worry. It makes a lot of sense. There has been some drainage issues all over on their side, off of this development. We have worked to remedy this. Over the last month, the owners have been more than willing to take many additional measures, building sediment ponds, lots and lots of hydro seeding, hay bales spread everywhere, more seeding. They've spent a lot of money to try to control the water in this area. As John will tell you, during construction is when everything is most vulnerable. Before we get everything underground, before the ponds can work properly, that's when you're at most risk for these types of things to happen, where water is not going where it's designed yet. So as they mentioned, they said the pond failed. It wasn't that the pond failed, the water went around. And so this is a very, very sandy soil that erodes very quickly. So over the course of a rainfall, that a couple of inches of rain in 30 minutes might erode a channel that goes around a pond, is what happened in this situation. Like I said, the owners, the contractors, and I over the last month have worked very, very hard every day to make sure that, we've prevented anything future from happening. Another thing they mentioned was the pond filling up with silt. It's this soil that is just moving, across the site into the ponds, or eroding the ponds very quickly before they're stabilized. It's causing these ponds to continually have to be dredged out. So it's a very difficult site, but they have really worked hard over the last month to implement a lot of measures to prevent from happening. And it's still under construction. So the best thing that would happen would be just to come to a completion. That will be where the water is all going piped into the detention ponds where it's supposed to go. Yes, sir.
Homeowners have spent a lot of money on their homes and developing not only their home, but their property.
Yes.
In addition to that, some cases they're forever.
Right.
So my question is just like what Mr. Alderman Hart talked about. It's the future we're looking at,
Yes.
just like some of the people here. My concern is, how do the homeowners, how can they feel safe without perhaps talking to the developer, the contractors, to let them know
Right.
just what their plan is? Because they are going to live there, and they have been living there before this development started.
Right.
And the problem is that they're not taking maybe all the due diligence to look at what is going on, what caused it. I understand there's 2 retention ponds. Perhaps there may be additional retention ponds. I don't know. But I think it would help them to better understand what's going on if there was some contact made by the developers and by the engineers and whoever.
Yes, sir.
That could help and understand how their fears shouldn't be as great as they are right now today.
Yes, sir. No, I agree. I believe Lennar has been proactive in communicating with at least the impacted party or two.
That's my understanding. I'm not in that communication, but, it's my understanding that Lennar has been in communication with. Okay. No, I did not either. Okay. I believe after this meeting, you can give me your contact number. I think I've got it previously. But I will get that and get everybody connected for sure.
I have one other just question, just for my own clarity. So the homeowners that have had damage here that caused by this breach in the retention ponds, is that their responsibility, or is there not responsibility of the developers to maintain, even to fix the condition that this man's backyard is?
I'm not a lawyer, but I did see work being done in other people's property. So I'm not sure who has been contacted and who has not been contacted. So, I mean, I did see work being done, some by the contractor that was hired by the developer, and third parties that my understanding was they were doing repairs on the house paid for by the developer. So that was my understanding. I'm outside a lot of that conversation, but I'll follow up and I can get you a formal response on that. Gotcha. Okay. I'll get everybody's name. I'll try to help communicate on that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But to address your question, as soon as it was brought to our attention, Jason and John and others were in the office talking about the process that DRC, which is the review committee of every project, that's where it starts, is for them to stepping up their game and doing a better job of reviewing it and making sure that everything is done to prevent this from happening in the future. But that's where it all has to start, is in a review process that Jason and his staff, John and his staff actually get in there and dig things out and work it out prior to approving anything.
Yeah, during construction, all these sites it's hard to get the water to go exactly where you want it to during construction. Obviously, I haven't been in here talking to you guys like this before, so it's very rare. But at the same time, it's possible for these kinds of things to happen during construction. Before you get the pond built, when you get everything cleared, the water is going quicker than it was previously. It's the same amount of water. It's just moving there quicker. And so during construction, it's challenging.
I know one thing, Mr. Hope, when, John and I were out there the day after the flooding incident, all the drainage pipes had, what do you call the socks that were filled with sand covering them up, so no water went into the drainage pipes.
Right. And that's, again, you're trying to keep the EPA, ADEQ people happy by not getting dirt in the drains, but you have to have them in front, and that really stops the water from getting in there. So you're fighting one fight or the other, for sure. Yes, sir. But to go back to your question, we believe that after construction, these people will not. So phase one was completed last year. Phase two is probably, there is phase two for reference. So phase two is probably 3 months from now, from completion. And that's really, their concern. But after that is completed, I believe, they've done a lot of preventative measures over the last month to make sure it's not going to happen anyway. But as far as completion of phase two, probably about 3 months.
Any more preventative plans left to be done to assist in this over the next 3 months? And if so, what are they?
Okay, so to be determined, but I did get a very, very lengthy email today about meeting and coming up with additional measures to confirm hiring third parties to make sure all the silt fences are staying maintained, the ponds are getting cleaned out. So I got an email today that they're going to go an additional step and ask us to come up with additional measures that they're willing to do if we come up with additional measures. So we're going to work on that. Put that at the top of my list. So yeah.
So we're looking at tomorrow, because I believe there's a chance of rain Thursday, and
Right,
a good
right.
chance of rain Friday,
Right.
so
I
we're
need to
looking at
hurry.
getting this done tomorrow.
Right, but that came straight from the top, from Lenore. Additional preventative measures over what's already been suggested.
You get with all these folks that had problems, get their numbers and connect the two dots and see what we can do.
Yes, sir.
Sure it doesn't happen.
Yes, sir. 5 8. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the project will end up, got any ballpark?
Probably 5 years, 4 years, something like that, 4 years.
Okay, so we won't be looking at, take them into the city until that time. So we'll have plenty of history to see how this progression ends.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're fixing to transition. Once we go over to past this phase, we'll transition over kind of a ridge with the water will actually be going down.
For you, John. So the process that we have of, once they get through a certain phase, and let's just say, you say it's okay, they say they're still getting flooded, and don't we have the ability to say it doesn't meet what we can approve to go on from there and stop the whole thing? Or are we checking on those phases as they go along, or?
Comply with their SWIP, and on behalf of the citizens, they go to the contractor, they come to me, and I go to Jonathan, the engineer, and tell him to step in and intervene. And because it is his drawings that we're looking at, so he takes pride in that, and he wants to know what's not working and those sorts of things. So, yes, this whole thing is making us look at things and ask more questions. And this is what I get out of this the most, is what can I do to make this not happen? And a lot of things come to mind when we go to DRC, and Jonathan knows it's a lot harder to, when he submits stuff, that this does help. So we do ask the harder question. It's uncomfortable, but it's the way it is. We don't like being in this situation, so.
If we submit drainage reports to go along with our plan, it proves that the ponds work, right? Again, during construction it's difficult, but at the end, like after phase one, for example, we had to submit as-built that show that what was designed and approved is what got installed. The ponds are the size that we submitted, the pipe, everything. And then for a year, as you mentioned before, you know, the developer owns it, and then after a year, the bonding period, the city goes back out, makes sure everything is still good in order, and then it's before the city takes over.
Are there any consequences per se if they're not adhering to, you know, standards that they had agreed to when they approved?
It's up to the individuals if they want to proceed to do any legal action against the developer for the damage done. Oh, yeah, we have the ability to shut them down if they don't meet. They have to stop.
Thank you all.
Mind you, it was a fleeting thought, but I feel like we're being very reactive in this situation. We've had, I know personally, 2 houses down from me, they got flooded during phase one, which apparently phase one got approved and checked off and it's all good. Okay, like things happen, right? But then it happened again in phase two. Why are we not being proactive on this? Why are we being reactive? And what's going on here? I think we've got a good idea of we need to be vetting these projects a little bit better. And granted, I'm no engineer by any means. Can't even spell it, right? But when we had a problem and it was deemed cleared and fixed, then they moved on to phase two, and that changes everything. Because we went from having acres and acres of forest to having acres and acres of not a blade of grass in sight. And now all of a sudden my neighbors are getting flooded again. It's coming close to my door. Is there nothing that the city can do for us? Are we left to hopefully band together and, you know, don't? I went out, I jumped over my fence, put my mud boots on, lost the boot in the silt because of how the runoff was. And again, I get it's a construction project and things aren't perfect and ideal, but all the water pushed all the dirt that's now 30 foot taller than my house, supposed to be going into the pond, but the pond got full of mud and it all started coming in our houses. We were trying to be proactive with the contractor, talk to him ahead of time. Hey, we've got these concerns. We saw this happen in phase one. No, we got it. He didn't get it. He promised us this and that and gonna do this and that, and I know what I'm doing, but I like the guy, met him a couple of times. He seems pretty nice. I can't imagine there's some magical vortex in our neighborhood that's different than the rest of Benton and Saline County. Like, the clay, the muds, the dirt's special. Again, I don't know, but I feel like it's not that much different than what we got just outside of here. I just can't be a magic zone that things have never happened before are happening. I don't understand. Are we, like, is there nothing that y'all can do for us or help us or advocate for us? Or if there's not, I mean, I understand if there's nothing y'all can do what you can do and we're left to figure it out. I mean, we just need to know what we need to do, what cards are we dealt, and we can move on as a group if we need to.
So, you know, when we get your concerns, we act on it immediately, and we can't shut them down now. We wouldn't want to. We want them to get finished so things will get better.
But I think to address your concerns, first thing in the morning, John will be out there with Jonathan. to look at what the actions are being taken, knowing that rain's coming. To address what you're talking about right now, so.
I mean, nothing has gone on since Roger came
Reading
out,
now said
like they
they'll
haven't
be out
cleaned out
there
the
in the
ditch or nothing behind our houses. It's still full of silt. There's no more ditch anymore. There's literally trash sitting in it that is pulled up, as it does. The seeds they planted, like, cool, I've seen that seed truck out there throwing green seeds and fertilizer all over. But now we've got just rows of weeds that are that tall. Who's gonna maintain those? Am I responsible for that? Is whoever buys it responsible for mowing like a 40-degree incline?
It's not your problem.
Right.
So you won't be responsible.
But you know, who's going to? Is that homeowner behind us? Is that part of their property? 'Cause I wouldn't buy a house that had a drop off like that I've got to maintain now. And you know, as far as my home and my property value, where's that fence gonna go? Now I have a neighbor behind me who's sitting literally above the roof of my house. Is their fence coming all the way down to my fence that I now have to rebuild because of their project? Or is their fence gonna be sitting way up there and then we have this no man's land between all of us? How does,
I've got all your questions, Rick.
All right.
Those things
I got
will
more
be-
of them.
Will be discussed. We'll just email them to John
Okay.
so that we can look at them. And I think first thing, one, John will be together, get out there, be done, and Jason will be with him. Just see what can be done to prevent it, because we know the rain's coming.
Right, and
Well, at
it's
least
been fairly
we're
dry.
16 inches behind, so we hope so.
Right? So I mean, when we get that heavy rain, like we're prone to get once in a while, where it rains for 3 or 4 days in a row, like, you know, are we all gonna have houseboats at that point?
Just send your questions to John so that him and Jason can get John.
All right.
Be proactive.
Appreciate it.
There's nothing we can say tonight. There's no magic bullet that we can, that we can tell you tonight that's gonna solve everyone's problem. The one thing I would hope that you would take tonight is some level of comfort from this perspective. You now have the full attention of the council, and for what that's worth. You've got a commitment from the mayor, you've got a commitment from the street department that this is highly visible and on our radar. I mean, from time to time, I'll just tell you, from time to time, we all get a call or a complaint, I've got a flooding issue. Well, you know what? We got flooding issues all over town, and sometimes, but then now we've got a mass, a number of complaints that it is on the radar of us all. I don't think it's going to fall off any of our radar. You have our attention, and I think our commitment is we're going to do everything in our power to help resolve the situation. We can't tell you what that is tonight, but I think you do have the commitment of the council that we're committed to, and the mayor as well, to ensure that we get to some resolution that is the best case scenario possible for both you guys, the existing homeowners, for the developers as well, so that, we can bring this to a completion to best case possible.
And honestly, we've only had a stormwater division in the city of Benton for the last 6 years. So that is the truth. We never had a stormwater division in this city that actually dealt with it until we started collecting a fee, because we had no money to do anything with. When I first got here, the answer was, we don't have money to address that. So we've probably done, projects over the last 5 years, several hundred projects to try to address it in all 5 wards. So the stormwater people, like Mr. Brown said, will be out there with Mr. Hope and Jason and John tomorrow to see what can be done and can't be done.
I'd just like to thank all of you present here who've come before us and address your issues and let us know what's happening. Many times people don't come to get this far. They complain, but they don't really want to come before the council and let us know. So when you come in these types of numbers, we see the severity of the issue and do have, indeed, I think you have all of our attention. So thank you for coming.
That you guys are hearing us so much, because I've been speaking out for over a year about this, and it's probably was this last flooding that people really started paying attention, except for you. You listened to me the very first time, and I appreciate that very much. But the concerns that I have on this, which you addressed, is I know this has already started, and I know that you can't stop what's there. And at this point, the Band-Aids we don't like, but at least they're helping us. But my question is, was it any concern when they drew out the plans for that neighborhood to protect us down below? Because I don't think they were. And I want to reiterate that berm that Joe was talking about. I said it was 25. I'm trying to be nice. It may be 30 or 40. I don't know. It's higher than my roof of my house. I know that. And it comes straight down, and it was designed to go into our fences with no drainage there. That's not protecting us, and that was from the engineer, from what I understand. And I'm not blaming him, because that went through the Development Review Committee. And that's, I think you guys talked about that maybe there needs to be some tweak there. I don't know how much help we're going to get. I'm here for the next edition, because I know there's like 3 or 4 editions right now that are having issues, and something needs to change in that review process to make sure that they're not other people like us here a year from now or 2 years from now. Because Benton's growing. We're new to the area, but it's growing, and it's a beautiful town. We picked it out of any town we could have picked outside of Little Rock. And they're having growing pains, there's no doubt. And that happens to every town that grows. And this is a big one, because as a homeowner, and you're coming in and putting $100,000 into a home, you want to know it's protected. I do have a question about that berm, though, because from what I understand, the house that's going to be built above there is 20 feet from where that thing sharply comes down. And I'm looking at it right now, like Joe said, it's got that much grass on it. It's very sparse, but it's there. Who's mowing that? And if they do mow that, is the riding lawnmower going to end up rolling down and tearing out my fence because they can't stay up there? I mean, if it's, there's safety conditions here. I mean, you can't put a park there because kids can't play on that. I mean, what are they going to do with that? That needs to be readdressed by Lennar. Because to me, it's almost a safety hazard for whoever lives there. Can you imagine a swing set being on that, a kid coming down and just rolling down? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot to be said there. So I'm going to quit talking, but thank you guys for looking into this. But also, I think we need to look at the review process and make sure.
Everyone that has spoken as chairman of the Streets and Drainage Committee, I will guarantee you that all 10 people sitting there up here represent you, and you people elected us. And if we don't do our job, kick our panties out in the middle of the street, because this deserves an answer. I saw it today, and I'm going to deal with the mayor and John and the other people involved, and we're going to find an answer to this, because how this was allowed to be done is beyond me.
Mr. Ham, you have a personal invitation to come to my house, 1844 Abbey, walk out my backyard, and look at what we see every day. Every one of you guys do. I've invited many of you to come out there, because you don't see it from up top. But you tell me, come get in that backyard and tell me if you want to live at that. It doesn't make sense. There's no sense in that happening. So I appreciate it. 1844 Abbey Lane. You could get my number, let me know. I would love, come in the backyard, just get ready for 2 beagles to lick you to death. But, yeah.
Well, it's going to take a little time, obviously, to remedy this issue, if it's possible to remedy it. at this point. But we're gonna stay on top of it. And I'm a speaker for all the other 9 people. You can call any one of us because we represent not only the ward that elected us, it's my opinion that we represent the entire city of Benton, Arkansas. And if we don't find the answers, that's why there's 10 of us sitting up here. Because one person or 5 people can't do it. So don't hesitate, and I mean this sincerely. Ring our phones off the wall and find out, and that the mayor we may discuss this afterwards, but I feel that after seeing it today, it can get real serious, real quick, and I don't know who's held responsible legally. I think I know who should be, but it's not the city of Benton. We have pictures of other events, water events, that have taken place through years. I know I've got a file that has started 4 o'clock in the morning, but at the same time, as I said, my phone's by my side 24/7, and I intend to be out there at the next heavy rain. Now, if it's just drizzling, I'm not going to be out there. But I know Mr. Ritchie will be, probably the mayor, probably Jonathan, and we're gonna come up with an answer. It may be an answer we don't like, but we're gonna come up with an answer. That's what your city council is supposed to do, in my opinion. So, my phone's always on, unless it's run down, which lately it has been run down. So, thank you for your comments, all of it. Mr. Mayor, are we done with this subject for now? Are we done with this subject for now?
We're gonna move on to project updates, Taylor.
It's on. Okay. So I took off, we kind of keep a running list of a lot of the projects that we work on for Benton. I took off some that didn't have major updates that are kind of on hold due to other pressing matters, and tried to keep the more important stuff and the stuff that I know is on everyone's radar. As far as the current Benton projects right now, you can kind of see on the first one, the Congo and Shenandoah roundabout. We did finally get everything worked out with RDOT on the right-of-way acquisition. They verified it, they certified it, everything's good. The last thing we're working on is getting an agreement in place for the utility reimbursement as part of the Metro Plan application a few years ago. One thing we included was water and sewer relocation to be part of the project, and also to get easements for the city to maintain those facilities in the future. With all that being part of the project, there's a separate reimbursement agreement that's due for the utility portion versus the construction and roadway portion, and we're ironing out those details, but we're hoping to go to bid on that in the next month or two. As far as Cross Street, phase 1 was finished last year. I'm sure y'all been out there and saw phase 3 is moving along pretty well right now. I tried to drive through there the other day and they had the road shut down, so they were getting some pipe underneath the road. I'm pretty excited to see that. I know we have kind of a lot of drainage issues, and that project was one where we kind of used a new type of inlet. We stole it from Texas. So they have bigger openings, hopefully convey more drainage off the street. If it works here, we're hoping we can use that, especially in a lot of future projects as well, as we kind of go around the town from there. That's phase 3. Phase 2 had some TAP funding applied to it because of the pedestrian improvements that are included in that. And because of that, it's a little bit behind phase 3 because it has to go through RDOT and checks. One thing that we had found out whenever we did our improvements, there's some cross drain pipes that go underneath the road, and it was actually interfering with a lot of the existing water line. And so what we did this last quarter was get new water line plans to include as part of this project as well. And that will allow them to basically kind of remove the water line, lay the pipe as needed, and put the water line back on top. And hopefully update all the facilities out there to where it don't have to be maintained or rip the road up in the near future to fix any leaks or anything like that. The Congo Road widening. So this will run from the roundabout that we're about to build at Congo and Shenandoah up to the one at Long Hills. We had our kickoff meeting actually on Monday this week. Our survey team's mobilizing. We're trying to get 30% plans out. We've got Benton Utilities included on the front end because there's a lot of water infrastructure out there, and we're actually working on some more water infrastructure down Thomas Road that's going to tie into it. So we're trying to keep everybody grouped in on the front end. But we're hoping this summer we should have some 30% plans, and that's going to include some walking and pedestrian facilities. Also have a trail, so that gives us a place to tie in some stuff in the future as we get more planning done down the road. And then it was kind of mentioned the annexation for the North Shore that was mentioned earlier. Part of that, it goes with this. We helped submit the application last year. It was awarded. Right now, we're waiting on the go-ahead to do a task order from RDOT for that, but that will do the same thing on North Shore that we're kind of doing to Congo, where we're going to be adding a turning lane for the entirety of that corridor, but we'll also be adding a sidewalk and a trail along that that'll connect to the trails over on the Alcoa and the walking facilities on Military to try to create a continued network for people who may not want to drive their car everywhere. But that's one thing we're waiting on. Hopefully in the next few months, I get the go-ahead from RDOT and we'll be able to proceed with that. And then I brought it on here, North Street's kind of the next big one. But between the Congo Road widening, the North Shore Drive, and then the roundabout we're about to do, there was a lot of funding tied up with that. And we got other projects that we're trying to target as well. As you can kind of see some of the upcoming projects down at the bottom. We've got 4th Street sidewalks that got TAP money from RDOT, so we should be designing that here soon. Finished up, we were trying to get a little bit closer to when RDOT would allow review of those plans. So we should be submitting, everything we got on that originally was for construction funding. So we should be submitting a task order here soon to do the design and survey of that. So y'all should have that, sometime in the next month or two. And then by the time RDOT signs their contract, we'll be able to send the 30% plans that way and keep it rolling. And then the Alcoa Trail that runs from Military down to Benton Parkway. And it's no road improvements, but it simply was a trail. I think we ended up getting about $335,000 in funding, which was the 80% with a 20% match. It was, around $400,000. And this will be a trail to further connect some of those walking facilities. I know right now the iron's really hot on a bunch of transportation alternative projects, and so we're trying to make sure that the citizens of Benton, one of the big things right now people are looking for is alternate means, whether they can bike or walk or any kind of active lifestyle. So a lot of these projects, even though some of them are more road centric, we're trying to make sure that we include some of those trail facilities so that we have places to tie into the future and there is means to get around the city if you don't want to take your car. So I put a list of kind of the closed out and finished projects are several that we've kind of done over the past 2 to 3 years. I'm sure some of you have seen them, some of you have been in various wards, but if y'all have any questions about any of the projects going on or anything coming up, I'd be happy to answer them. On the RDOT, no, we didn't get to do anything within that. That was, RDOT did that, and I believe Garver maybe designed those, access roads. I will say though, cause I used to work in freeway construction or freeway design when I was at RDOT, and I will say it does look like they're coming along pretty good though. So, I wouldn't have any worries about them with the schedule on that. Yeah, they were pouring the concrete yesterday when I was coming home from work, so it was hard not to stare and watch. You know, it's good pouring work. So.
Question on the Saline River Bridge, is that under the I-30 bridge?
Yes, so that is part, and I should have brought Caleb with me in our land development team. Part of the Thomas Park improvements is there's going to be a massive trail in the future that's going to connect the River Center up to Lyle Park. And so it will go underneath the I-30 bridge there, go along Thomas. There's 2 pedestrian bridges that's currently that we're designing right now, not in transportation, but in our land development group because they're doing the park improvements. And this lighting project that was previously done was to go ahead and get the lighting and get it coordinated with RDOT so that when that trail comes underneath there, we already have a lighting plan so they can just put the lights up on the bridge, tie into the electrical, and go from there. Thanks.
Those don't need any approval, do they? Okay, moving on to the number 10, any other? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Thank you all for coming.
Yes, sir. I will call this meeting of April 24th of the Parks Committee to order. We'll start by recognizing attendance on my far right.
Evelyn Reed is here. Tom Farmer.
Trevor Valines.
Jeff Ham.
All right, we do have a quorum. Thank all of you for coming. We've already accepted our statement of compliance. If there's no changes to the minutes, the chair would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
All in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is the field usage rate. If you have in your packet as well, you can see that we have a pricing sheet and we are lowering those. And if you want to explain why we're doing that, I will gladly let you.
So the mayor has challenged us to fill up our baseball and softball fields with tournaments every weekend. So we decided to reach out to all of our tournament directors in the state and try to get some feedback on what would make us more attractive to them. Some of the key things that we found from them was our pricing structure was not up to standards for what they were looking for. So what we did after that is we went and reviewed basically the Central Arkansas Triangle, which was Hot Springs, Little Rock, Bryant, Maumelle, Sherwood, Conway, Cabot, and Searcy. We took all of their data and compared it to ours. And so what we did was we made some adjustments so that way we would be the more attractive option for teams to come and play their tournaments in Benton. So the three changes that we made for our rental rates. We reduced our tournament rate for renting a field per day. It was at 150 and we dropped that down to 125. We also reduced our hourly rate, which was $35 an hour, and we dropped that down to $30. And then the last change that we made, we were always charging a $17 per hour fee for our staff members to be on site for the tournaments. We took that out as well, and so what that kind of came up to was about a $500 to a $750 per day of the tournament cost savings for those tournament directors. That puts us at a more competitive edge to get them to come in and play in Benton. Our goal is to not generate revenue off of the rental of the fields. Our goal is to get new money brought into the city and have people spending money in the city of Benton.
Yes. Will actually be lower than the other areas to invite them in. The difference is some of these other areas have turf fields where we still have dirt fields. And so by making it lower, we're hoping to entice people to come in.
And then just a couple years ago, we also built an incentive package in. So based on the number of teams that the tournament directors bring in, they could also get an additional discount off of their invoice for the rental.
Softball that I'm speaking of, they have approximately, you can correct me, somewhere in the neighborhood of 36 teams. That sound correct?
Are you asking about tournaments or our league?
No, just teams, not tournaments, just teams. 36 softball teams,
Yes,
does that
sir.
sound good? And my understanding is that Bryant has less than half of what we have. So right now, that tells me there are reasons for that. In other words, I'm trying to say is in a roundabout way, you're doing an excellent job at keeping people here, keeping those families coming, and by not having an admission rate also keeps those families coming in, because some of these families have 2 and 3 kids playing at one time, and if they had to go pay admission each time, I think that would make a difference on their turnout. So that's good.
Yeah, is there any, all right, all in favor accepting the motion of lowering the fees, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anything else that needs to be brought up before the committee? Okay, seeing none, the chair will adjourn. Thank you. Didn't we just? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right, next item on the agenda, sorry about that, is the pricing. Okay.
Which will entice, because right now, we only have, out of 7 weeks, we don't have 3 tournaments. Talking to some of the tournament directors, if we can put this in effect as soon as the council votes, then we want to entice them to come in and fill it up. So that will be on there, and June, I'll let you take it to the next item.
Yeah, go ahead, Junior, and discuss the pricing changes.
So again, the mayor asked us to review this. Last year, we brought a price increase to all of our membership rates at the River Center. So he tasked us to look at how could we reward River Center members or incentivize new members to join our memberships. So we worked with him to kind of work on a member versus a non-member pricing structure. So in your packet as well, you'll see the 26 price sheet. And again, we brought this to you in December of 25 for the 26 year. You'll see on the side, I tried to put as many participation numbers as I could gather to the left of each of the programs. The current rates that we charge for our members are in black, and then the new non-member rate that we'd be proposing is going to be in red next to all those programs. If we were able to approve these changes, none of this would go into effect until August 1st. That would still give us plenty of time to get the word out to our members, but then also build this into our ActiveNet software system. And again, we would not do any price increases or changes for the 27 year. We would bring this back in December of 27 for the 2028 year before we did any additional changes.
Is this a common pricing with members and non-members among the Central Arkansas?
Yes, there are multiple other rec departments in the state that have a member, non-member pricing structure.
Is there any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, is there a motion to be made? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, is there any other business before the committee? Seeing none, the chair will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to the commissions committee.
Steve Brown.
Frank Baptist.
Next, I will call the approval for the minutes for the March 9th, 2026 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have our P and Z meeting. P and Z, we have an ordinance to annex land along North Shore Drive, Parker Road, parcel number 001-048-71-001, and zone R2, direct to the council. Do you have any questions from the council? Do you have any questions from the public? Next, we have an ordinance to rezone 212327 Military Road and 1600, 1602, 1608 Longview Street from R2 to C2. Any questions from the council? Will you please state your name and make sure the ring light is on, please?
My name is Connie Morgan. I'm from Green Property Management. I already bought Plaza and real estate. And our family is owning property for decades, and there's never been a residence on that property. On the corner, on the other property, there's never been a residence there. And I'm not sure why it's so residential. We found about it. Anyway, years ago, when you guys were coming through along and expanding in, we had those three greenhouses there. And they asked if we were wanting to incorporate that in our military. So
number 805-5101-007, Highway 229, from RA to S.
They found that they couldn't put a school in an S zone, a private school. That code amendment was changed, last month, if you remember, or 2 months ago. They did come in with that conditional use permit for a C3 and also wanted to rezone to a C3. I believe it came in December through planning commission, and then it came to the council in January. My dates may be wrong. It all happened right as I started, and the conditional use was voted down at the council meeting, and thus the C3 zoning never went through, was not reviewed at all. So what they're coming through now is the school zone code was amended to include private and public schools, so it wasn't discriminatory anymore. And they have now come forward with the rezoning from RA to the school zone. And obviously it's for a proposed private school campus on 90 plus acres.
So do you remember what the vote was for?
It was I believe it was a 6-1 vote. One commissioner.
Next, we have the orders to allow a conditional use for a warehouse in a C2 zone at 703 Southeast Street, parcel number 800 at 02848-001. Any questions from council? Next, we have the orders for code amendment to section 3.007 and amendment to the regulations and map. Questions from the council?
What was the reasoning behind doing this?
This was off an ordinance that was passed back in December, and was brought to my attention by our city attorney that proper legal notice was not done for the code amendment for this, so that's invalid. So this is bringing it forward. There were some other changes that were being proposed already through the community development office. So instead of one ordinance catch-all, separated into 3 different ordinances. What it's going to do is it's going to align our conditional use permit process along as the same as a rezoning as well. So before there were 2 separate processes, the procedures would be very confusing for a developer, especially if you have a developer that's coming in with a conditional use plus a rezoning. There were different procedures for it. This aligns with both. It also puts us in line with the state statute of requiring attention to school boards if they're rezoning or conditional use. Having your local school traffic. So this is on top of the 64, 25, it just adds in that condition that we wanted it to be 3.007, to not have multiple zones on one parcel, but it's not big enough to the flat, so we don't have the distribution of two on side.
As far as the notification for the schools go, will that also apply to private schools as well? As far as notification? Okay. And any school district, in Saline County, we have a lot that are, on the fringe, that overlap here in city limits, so they would notify those other districts if needed.
question? Next, we have an ordinance for code amendment to section 6.003, conditional use for this city. Any questions from council?
Forth on this one? Again, this one is aligning it with the rezoning, so the 15-day notice in the paper, plus sign posted on there. The, school board notification affidavit. And then also the notification by certified mail for the fringe. So it makes it's all the same now as the rezoning. So there's just one procedure.
Next, we have an ordinance for code amendment to section 7.003, R2 title.
If I may, Chair, this one's just very simple. It's a title change. This was brought to me by Chelsea and also via Baxter. If you look at all of our zoning in the section 7, they all just say R2 single family district, R1 single family district. For some reason, R2.
Next, we have information from the Public Utility Commission.
Yes, we'll be waiving competitive bidding for the utilities to purchase single position true three-phase meters. And again, the reason we're doing the waiving competitive bidding, again, there's one company that does this, and we need to continue to use that one company, so we'll be waiving the bids for that.
Any other questions? And the next on our agenda is our historic district commission review from 4/2/26 for information only. The certificate of appropriateness for sign at 101 South Market Street, Mr. Democratic Party of Selena County is approved. And the certificate of appropriateness for sign for 111 South Market Street, the wrong flag approved. Do we have any other questions for this committee? Okay. I will be doing this, community service meeting for Ms. Evelyn. Okay, I will start on my left with Mr. Ham. Please.
Trevor Valance.
Steve Brown.
Frank Babbitt.
Thank you. Okay, yes, we have no minutes for the approval for our March 9th, 2022. Next on our agenda, we have our new business from our code compliance. Mr. Patterson, we have 1918 Bennett Drive.
Good evening. My name is Tyler Ritchie. I'm with the Code Compliance Office. We do have one item on our list tonight. It's going to be at 1918 Bennett Road. It's located near Sorrells and Huntley Road. This property owner passed away, Mr. Babbitt. He passed away in late 2024. It is in an estate. It is represented by Mr. Stella Childress with Childress Law Firm. He's here tonight if there's any questions. There has been no utilities at this location since November of 2006. If you look at your photos, it is in very bad shape. It is for sale, and to my understanding, it's going to be closing in the next 2 weeks or so. The buyer, is going to be 3 properties that Mr. Babbitt owned. It's all consecutive, and the buyer's intention is to raise all 3 properties. So I'm asking to go ahead and proceed with passing in committee tonight. We'll send it to council, which would be May 18th, because Memorial Day would be pushed up a week. And then that's allow us to work with Mr. Childress and the buyer to make sure it gets done. Is there any questions?
Well, quite frankly, I'm not 100% sure on how all the condemnation works. I would, personally not want it voted on today. And I can kind of tell you a little backstory. We're working with some legalities, getting the property sold. If you've ever been out there, drove by it, it's unique, say that. He was a hoarder. So I can't get anybody to touch it with a 10-foot pole. But it is under contract, set to close May 1st. We have a couple more legalities we got to get worked out on it, but it is set for closing. We got to offer on for the purchase price, no negotiating on it, and it's for all the properties. The intent of the purchasers are to tear it all down, and I don't know what they plan to do after that, but I mean, nothing on that property is really usable as far as home-wise is concerned. And I haven't even looked at that house that is actually part of this, because it's, from as far as I know, no one lived there my whole life. But it sounds like 2006, the last time I had utilities. But I would just request, and maybe we can push this back another 30 days. By then, we'll either have the property sold and the new buyers will be working on getting it all cleared off, or it needs to be get into compliance with code. So, any questions on it? And I am not the attorney representing the estate. I'm technically the executor of the estate. It's my great uncle's property, but Paul White here in town is the attorney over it. So we're working with the real estate agent to get everything sold.
We would move forward with this based on past history. As long as you're working with them, there will be no issues along those lines at all. So, just.
All right, I just don't want any problems with the sale, because I've been trying to get rid of this thing for a while. So, thank you.
All in favor? Okay. The next is, the ordinance of, establishing a formal application in a public process for members of a certain city position.
Let me address this. What we've learned throughout the few years I've been sitting here, that we have 5 commissions, and basically they've done their own little thing and get the commissioners to be commissioners, and the council just ratifies it, what it boils down to. So I felt like it would be better if we were more consistent in the way we choose commissioners across the city. So Jason and myself, James and Todd all met together and came up with the process that you have before you. So if you so choose to move this on, then all 5 commissions, their commissioners will be chosen in the same process, and Cindy will keep up with them in the city clerk's office from here on out, instead of letting everyone do their own thing. Right now, the way it'll work is they're advertised, they'll get applications, the commission itself will interview the candidates, which is a process that hadn't been done before. In the past, they've just kind of chosen them, but there will be interviews conducted. They'll make a recommendation for the council to ratify them, and then the council will vote to ratify them. But the council will also be submitted every name that applied for a commissioner's position. So whereas now you just get the recommendation, now you'll get every name that's being recommended. Yes, it will be.
There was a pretty stringent process of, so we published a newspaper record for 10 business days with the vacancies provided by city staff. It's to be published no fewer than 60 days and no more than 75 days prior to the expiration of the applicable term. Now, if it is an appointment, let's say a commissioner, for whatever reason, has to leave, then it'd be the 10 business days. We'd probably do 30 days, similar to what we're doing with Alderman Donner position. I think that worked out pretty well. Do your interviews, and then it comes to council. That turns into about a 2-month process.
year. Is that gonna change from what we've done in the past as far as January goes when we elect? Gotcha.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay? We don't have no obvious use. Do you have any other discussion? Okay, we have the GRC monthly report for March for review. If we have nothing else, I adjourn the meeting.
Everyone for coming.